state. I think, when people say diversity and inclusion, I think everybody agrees, or most people generally agree that it's a good thing, right? But I think right now we also need to bring in the word equity, right? Diversity is when you say that there's, many different types of people with different backgrounds, and they're all, invited to the table. Inclusion is when, we include all of their ideas. But equity is when we make sure that all of the people who are at the table have equal access to making sure that their ideas and their thoughts are heard. And unfortunately, I think some of the statistics that you quoted is that we don't have that much leadership.
Former aide to two New York governors, including Kathy Hochul, is now charged as an agent for the Chinese government. The indictment alleges numerous crimes from money laundering to kickbacks and visa fraud.
Linda Sun used her position to help the Chinese government, at the same time also receiving millions of dollars worth of kickbacks. Now, Governor Hochul did confirm that Linda Sun worked in her office for about 15 months, but did not say why she was fired. Linda Sun, a former aide to Governor Kathy Hochul and former Governor Andrew Cuomo, has been charged with acting as an agent for the Chinese government. Sun is charged with failure to register as a foreign agent, visa fraud, alien smuggling, and money laundering conspiracy. Her husband, Chris Hu, a businessman, was also charged with money laundering conspiracy. Both pleaded not guilty in Brooklyn federal court.
We think that these charges are disappointing, that they are the product of an overly aggressive investigation.
Prosecutors believe Sun acted as a Chinese agent to advance the communist agenda while she worked as deputy chief of staff to Governor Hochul. Investigators accuse Sun of blocking Taiwanese officials from having access to the governor's office. Her husband is accused of facilitating the transfer of millions of dollars of kickbacks and laundering the money through bank accounts opened under a relative's name. Prosecutors believe the money was used to purchase the couple's $4.1 million Manhasset home, a $2.1 million condo in Hawaii, and a 2024 Ferrari. According to the indictment, among the other benefits received included tickets to events and salted ducks, which prosecutors say went to Sun's parents from a Chinese consulate official's private chef. The couple's Manhasset home was raided by the FBI in July.
I'm furious and I'm outraged and absolutely shocked at how brazen her behavior was. It was a betrayal of trust, the trust of government, the trust of the people. And I'll tell you this, the second we discovered some levels of misconduct, we fired her. We alerted the authorities.
Sun is also accused of forging Governor Cuomo's signature. Investigators believe Sun also influenced the governor's office to publicly praise Chinese officials for sending ventilators to New York during the COVID-19 pandemic. The archive post found on X where Cuomo thanked the Chinese government. Sun and Hu did not address reporters.
A lot of the allegations in this indictment are frankly perplexing, overly inflammatory. As you heard in court today, we're looking forward to our day in court. The defendants are exercising their right to a speedy trial as soon as they can. We have a lot of confidence in Chris and in Linda.
The CCP loves Walz more than Hunter, and Tiananmen Tim loves him back. He went to the main line 30 times on his little communist sabbaticals, including his honeymoon with his wife and giant groups of students. She didn't seem to mind. How many Americans are visiting China like this in the 90s? Not many. Walz was a part of the first wave of Americans to teach there. The guy routinely carried around Mao's little red book to every palace and temple he visited. If there's one thing Walz and Kamala have in common, it's their love for communism. According to a local news article from the 90s, Walz told his students China has a system in which everyone shares and gets free food and housing. But not everybody in China is treated the same. Walz was paid twice as much as any Chinese teacher while he was there. He had the only air-conditioned department on campus, which came in handy after long days of Tai Chi in the quad. Walz was the only one allowed to watch TV in color. Everybody else stuck with black and white. But Tai Chi Tim would often repay their generosity, hosting epic birthday and Christmas parties for the Chinese. Bet that little red book was a huge hit at Secret Santa. Walz told a local newspaper, no matter how long I live, I'll never be treated that well again. It's almost like they were grooming him. Walz was enlisted in the National Guard for all of these trips. Why would the Chinese give a member of the U.S. military such access? Who's to say that China, the world's biggest surveillance state, doesn't have anything on Walz? Democrats cried for years that Trump was compromised because he stayed one night at a Ritz in Moscow. But Walz spends decades going back and forth to China, then rises through the U.S. military and political ranks, and no one seems to care. The FBI isn't concerned, of course, not even a little. But Congressman James Comer is. And now the House Oversight Committee's launching a fresh probe into Walz and his Chinese ties. Was the first Chinese vice president targeted or recruited for CCP influence operations? We might just find out. House Oversight Committee Chairman James Comer is here. Congressman, how is it that the FBI doesn't seem to care about this at all, and you do?
Well, it's very concerning that the FBI, to my knowledge, has never even investigated this. Now, we're still trying to determine what extent they have as far as all the trips this high-level official from the United States government, even before that in the military, made to China. Look, if you look at Walz's background, and you look at his ideology and the things he talks about when he ran for attorney general, when he ran for governor, this is a guy that really has embraced China's view of the world, the Chinese ideology, which is communism. And I think you look at Walz, and I fear we have a guy that who's never been in the private sector. He's worked for the government his whole life. From looking at his financial background, it doesn't look like that he owns any stocks. You know, his retirement's in a government pension plan. This guy's very dependent on the government, and I believe he thinks that China, the business model that China's had, might be the ideal model for the United States. Let the government make the decisions for the people. Let the government control the markets. Let the government control the businesses. Let the government get the people out of poverty. And this is something that should be a concern to every American. The media is not examining this. I don't think
I hope because I know about China, and you know about China.